Morning everyone. As you can see from the sign I just very liberally pointed out, today we are embarking on a 2-day hike to the famous Reynolds Falls, my favourite waterfall in Tasmania, and I think unquestionably the best waterfall in Tasmania. An iconic spot, very difficult to reach, but yeah, I've been there once before, just over 5 years ago, on a pretty wet and miserable summer's day. Today is significantly nicer, it's nice and sunny out and warm, so I'm hoping I'm going to have a slightly nicer experience of the walk. It's a very varied track. You go along a plains for a while, then you cross over some creeks, then you descend through the rainforest. But yeah, we're going to check it out and I'll take you along with me. Well, just over half an hour in and we've broken out onto the Spealer Plains. Sort of been climbing the last little while up from down there. It's nice views out towards Cradle Mountain, which I think should improve as we get a bit higher up. But you can see all these like poles here, which are pretty good track markers when the route's covered in snow, as it would often be. It's quite a warm day for hiking and pretty exposed to the sun. Quite like an uneven sort of muddy trail, so you want to mind your footing a bit. Alrighty, so we have reached the junction when we turn off the Penguin Cradle Trail onto the Aussies track, sort of in a bit of a area of bush. We've just passed a sign back there that said Penguin Cradle Trail, and then here we have arrows pointing that way, a sort of four-wheel drive track that comes in here, and then some little poles down there. Last time there was a very small metal sign that said Reynolds Falls on it that was on a tree. I'm not sure if that's still around, but it wasn't much use last time. But it's not incredibly hard to work out the spot. It's just after the Penguin Cradle Trail sign, and it's where a four-wheel drive track intersects the main track. So yeah. Okay, so we've hit a very tame Fleece Creek. Just a little trickle of water flowing today. Last time it nearly turned us back, there was so much coming through. Now the track sort of comes out there where Dad is, and then you can kind of see the continuation of it over here. There's a few sort of alternate crossing points if the level's too high to get across wherever you meant to. But yeah, we're going to be heading into there. Okay, so I haven't filmed really the last half hour because it hasn't much to see, to be honest. It's been going along this four-wheel drive track in sort of overgrown terrain, rocky, fairly monotonous. At a turn off though now, so you can see this pink ribbon. The four-wheel drive track goes off that way, but we have this pink ribbon this way, and also this little pile of rocks on this log, and that marks the turn off down to the Aussies track. Some more ribbons here. It's not particularly difficult to see. So yeah, that's where we're heading. Well, we're continuing to plod on. Probably just past the halfway point now. We're out in a field again here. It's really a glorious day out. Sort of been going through some pandanus groves, which were fairly hard to navigate in spots, and a bit of bush bashing and stuff. And now this nice open section, which is significantly more pleasant. And then in a little while we'll be hitting the rainforest, and that's when the big descent starts. But yeah, it's a really interesting and varied hike, this. We've come to the interesting point where the open pandanus sort of stuff suddenly turns into rainforest, which I remember from last time. And we're about to come into by far the most scenic part of the walk. Now these markers here, which used to be red but aren't anymore, they are your friends on this section of the track. They're really everywhere. Now you can see more of the red ones. But they are basically everywhere, and that's the only thing you got guiding you a lot of the time. It's a little bit dry in here today. When it was wetter when I came last time, it was incredible to see. So the mosses aren't quite as vibrant, but still absolutely extraordinary. Well, we're coming into the small waterfall that's going to be our lunch spot. I nicknamed it Tumbling Falls because it flows into Tumbling Creek, although it's not actually on Tumbling Creek. So you can see the lower section down there, and then once I round this little bend, we have this pretty little waterfall. Not flowing very well at all, but still a nice little spot to stop. And that's looking over the top of more drops. Quite a substantial looking drop right down there, although I'd say it'd be a pretty big mission to get down to it. Still just plodding on this seemingly endless walk. Still a really nice rainforest and very sunny out. Sort of been climbing in and out of drainages most of the time. There's been some fairly steep and nasty ascents and descents. We're coming up to the next little creek now. None of them are really flowing all that well. So I'm just entering the second of the major descents along this track. Kind of how it is at the top of the plateau where we went to that rainforest. The first big descent, you drop about 200 metres, then there's sort of some undulation, and now we have another 200 metre descent, and in between that there's some climbing and stuff. But yeah, it's these two major sections. I've had to drop Dad off just back there because he's kind of reached his wit's end after about 8 hours of hiking. I would probably suggest 3 days to do the walk if you're not quite a seasoned hiker, because yeah, Dad, who is not unfit but he's not experienced on multi-day hard hikes, has had to throw it in, unfortunately. But I'll plough on and hopefully I won't die, and if I do, you won't see this video, so you won't care anyway. Well, I'm not far away now. I can faintly hear the Vale River off that way coming over the falls. I'm sort of on this little ridge, kinda. I'm just on the left side of it. Now, when I came last time, I managed to accidentally go over that way and got quite lost. So you want to make sure you keep to the left side of this ridge, and then we have these ribbons here that sort of take you off down the slope, which are pretty easy to miss. It sort of looks like you should continue kind of meandering along the ridge, but there is a point where you'll start to head down into that gully that goes in there. So just make sure you're aware of that if you come, because otherwise you sort of end up on top of the waterfall and you're not really in a great spot. So yeah, not far now. I'll probably see you down there, I reckon. Well, after a serious mission to get here, I've made it to the magnificent Reynolds Falls. Just as spectacular as I remembered, even in lowish flow. Just an amazing spot, this. It's come through that huge notch in the cliffs and then plunges about 50 metres. And the advantage about the water being a bit on the low side is I can get much closer up to the base. Last time I came here I could really only stand over there, so I'll be able to get right up underneath it hopefully, which should be pretty cool. Really nice gorge as well downstream. Just amazing. Well, 9 hours in, 9 hours out starts now. Till next time, Reynolds Falls. And for now, we're heading back up this way. Well, day 2 of our Reynolds Falls mission has dawned. We're just going to be hiking out today, so I probably won't have a whole lot of footage to show you. Kind of at 3/4 of the way down to the falls. So we won't have quite as long of a hike today, which is good because I was dying by the time I made it back to the campsite yesterday. Dad's pack is broken, so we're having a great time. But yeah, it's another nice day out. And I'll show you a little bit of the hike out. But yeah, hopefully we'll see something interesting. Right, so we're coming back into civilization, by which I mean I saw a shuttle bus over there, which means we're nearly at the end of the hike, only probably half an hour to go, so I figure I may as well finish off this video now. This is a serious hike. Probably want to allow 3 days if you're not the quickest hiker. I would be able to do it in 2, but you know, Dad probably needed 3, so that is some sort of a gauge. Some of the most amazing, like varied scenery. You get all these sort of open mountain views out towards Cradle Mountain for the first part of the walk, and then you have pandanus groves and rainforest and all sorts. And then of course the falls, I reckon, are clearly the best waterfall in Tasmania. So it's definitely worth the effort if you're up for it, but as I say, it is a serious endeavour. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you wherever I'm at next.